So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite communities here inside Annapolis, and that is Eastport, Annapolis, which is the little peninsula in the community that you see behind me. So I wanted to bring on a local expert, one of my friends and a good solid real estate agent here in Annapolis area that is much more familiar with Eastport than I am. I want to kind of interview and ask him some questions. So we have Matt Arnold here. How are you, Matt? It's good to see
Malcolm.
you again.
Good to see you as always.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring you in to talk to us about Eastport. I know you spend a lot of time there, you do a lot of business there. Can you tell us a little bit about, I guess, the community and kind of what are some of your favorite activities and things to get into there?
Yeah, well, Eastport is a very special place. A lot of local pride. People who live there absolutely love to be in Eastport. You'll notice as you drive down the streets all the yellow Eastport flags. And some of the best things to do in Eastport obviously are water oriented. As you can see behind me, slips are abundant and there's lots of marinas and clubs. There's the Eastport Yacht Club and the Severn Sailing Association, just to mention a few. But there are several places to rent, say, kayaks and paddle boards, power boats, as well as if you want to try your hand at sailing, there are smaller sailboats that one or two people could rent at a reasonable rate. You might be able to see behind me there's some great places for kids as well to learn to sail as young as 5 years old. I actually met my wife. She was a junior sailing coach here on Spa Creek, and there's lots of summer camps and stuff like that for kids. But if water is your thing, the Eastport Peninsula offers just about as much water activities as you can think of.
One thing I've noticed about the Eastport residents is it's usually a very laid back and like chill vibe over there. A really good thing about Eastport is that you don't get as much tourist traffic over there. All the tourist attractions are on this side of Spa Creek, and over there is primarily residential with some few businesses and restaurants. There's really not that many reasons for tourists to go over there, so I feel like the traffic is a lot less over there, but it's still in walking distance all the attractions in downtown Annapolis, which I always thought was really cool.
Right.
So what other attractions are there in Eastport? Are there other activities or other things people can get into?
Absolutely. Yeah. Speaking about tourism, a lot of people who decide that they want to escape a little bit of the hustle and bustle of downtown Annapolis and some of the tourism, they'll just simply cross the bridge and purchase over here in Eastport. But yes, of course, there's lots of fun activities over in Eastport that don't have to do with boating. They've got some of the best restaurants in Annapolis are over here in Eastport. Yeah. Malcolm and I 2 weeks ago went to the Boatyard, which is my favorite spot to grab lunch, kind of a sailor's restaurant. After the Thursday night big boat races, most of the sailors will go to the Boatyard for dinner and cocktails post race. The Boatyard, the Chart House, is a high-end restaurant that has the best salad bar in town, if that's your thing. Let's see, there's Ruth Chris Steakhouse, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. Ruth Chris, that's a chain. But in my opinion, even better than Ruth Chris would be right across the street, and that's Luna's Steakhouse. And that has got high-end family dining, and it's all served family style, so everything right there in the center plate, large portions, and everyone have at it, kind of like a Thanksgiving style meal. Can't forget Davis's Pub. Yeah. So that's like the go-to watering hole in Eastport. They're famous for their crab pretzel, which is like a baked pretzel topped with Maryland crab dip. And you sprinkle of Old Bay and some lemon on top and you're in heaven. I think they were actually not long ago featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Yeah. Guy Ferry came through and did a review, so check that out if you have a second. I'm sure you can find that on YouTube. But that's just a couple of the restaurants over there.
They also have a farmer's market, don't they? Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, very, very familiar with that. And that runs not just, a lot of farmers markets will only run on Saturday or Sunday, but that's 7 days a week. And that's on Chesapeake Avenue, just out in the parking lot of the Eastport Shopping Center. And they've got local, as soon as the produce becomes available, it's there. And they've gotten bigger and bigger over the last decade. A little bit pricey, but it's hard to put a price on quality homegrown tomato.
Right. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things is Eastport has an entire shopping center just for the Eastport residents, and within that shopping center they have that farmers market that I actually go there quite often and buy some fresh produce and everything.
Right. If you're not looking to, I mean, every little community needs somewhere close to be able to grab groceries and things like that. So if you're not looking to leave Eastport, you just have to grab a quick bite or something. That Eastport Shopping Center has the Annapolis Athletic Club, which I used to be a member at. It's a great club. They've got cafes, coffee shop. There's a nice coffee shop in there. Let's see, they've got a pizza place. There's a theater. That whole strip is a CVS, has basically everything you need, and it's only, I'd say, maybe a quarter mile to a half mile outside of the Eastport Peninsula. So that's a nice little plus for just grab and go kind of stuff, before you have to actually send it to the Sam's Club or Costco or what have you.
Now, Eastport also has the Maritime Museum, right? Annapolis is kind of known for that museum. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Absolutely.
Have you been there before?
Yeah. They actually recently did some work in there. I think they added some new exhibits. Great spot to bring kids. They've got like a big, right inside, right in the middle, they've got a big, what's called a Chesapeake Bay dead rise, and that's a very iconic boat, generally built on the eastern shore for watermen, oystermen, and crabbermen. Will take those big Chesapeake Bay dead rises and refurbish them and use them for their workboats. And they've got one of those inside the Maritime Museum with raincoats and boots and things like that for the kids to dress up on and climb all over the boat and pretend they're water. It's really fun. Yeah. I've taken my daughter there a couple times. But it's a great museum. It actually used to be McNaspy's oyster house, where they, oyster picking and where they would dump the oysters off, years and years ago when the bay was huge on harvesting oysters. But it's a great spot to go and visit, and you can also rent it out as a venue for functions. My wife and I got married there, I guess about 3 or 4 years ago now. Fantastic wedding venue. And it's right there on the water, so the photography, great opportunities for photography. And one little fantastic little tip, if you ever do end up using it as a venue or possibly for a wedding, what you can do, which made our wedding very special, is you can rent the water taxis here in Annapolis, so that after your function or after your wedding, people who want to stay and continue to have fun, you can have the water taxis pick you up right there at the end of the dock.
Right.
And take you, anywhere in Annapolis. For us, it was just right here across Spa Creek.
Yeah, I do love that.
People who wanted to stay and party, we just came down and went to Middleton's Tavern, where they have a piano bar, and it was just such a special way to end the night.
I've worked with some buyers, and they told me that one of their mandatory requirements is to be within range of the water taxis for downtown Annapolis. That way they can go and get their drink on the weekend, party it up, and then just take a water taxi right to their dock or a dock near their house or something like that.
And it's such a fun way to get around town.
Yeah, so that's why everybody's so laid back over there in Eastport. All right, so now it's time for the $1 million question. Can you tell us about the real estate over there, right? If somebody wanted to buy in Eastport, can they expect to find a 1-acre lot with a 2-car garage and a 5,000 square foot home?
Most of the properties you're going to see over in the Eastport Peninsula. So a big difference between the Eastport Peninsula proper and some of the rest of Eastport, which we can talk about in a moment. But what you're seeing right behind me is the Eastport Peninsula. And what you're going to see there mostly are between 0.1 to maybe on the bigger side, 0.15 to even maybe 0.2 acre lots. And the homes are generally going to be renovated homes. Eastport is a historic community, and a lot of the homes in Eastport were built in the 20s and 30s and 40s. Actually, Eastport used to be extremely affordable when people were just starting to come across the bridge and not able to afford downtown Annapolis. Well, Eastport is the next most reasonable place to go. Houses that are in need of renovation. are going to run somewhere between, generally speaking, $700,000 to $900,000, and houses that are turnkey with off-street parking are going to run you around, in the ballpark, about $1 million to $1.2 million.
Okay, that sounds about right. And especially for this area. And so, are there a lot of condo options over there as well that may be a little bit more affordable?
Absolutely, yeah. As you can see behind me, there's only so much there's only so much area in Eastport, so they're going up. They're going up. A lot of construction of condos and townhomes in Eastport, and they are on the more affordable side. If you're looking to be in Eastport but you don't want a lot or house to maintain, some of the condos I've seen between $450,000 to $600,000, or as much as, for some of these waterfront condos can be $1 million plus.
So Matt, we're standing right here on the pier of the Annapolis Yacht Club, which you're a member of. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Does Eastport have their own yacht club, or are they part of the Annapolis Yacht Club? How does all that work?
Yeah, sure. Eastport does have the Eastport Yacht Club, which is separate from the Annapolis Yacht Club, even though the Annapolis Yacht Club has facilities on both sides of the bridge. Behind me is the main facility, which burned down tragically a few years ago, but they in true Annapolis fashion, they did it bigger and better and bolder. And so what you see here in the background behind Malcolm is actually their sailing center, where you can rent sailboats and send your kids for summer camp, and they really do it turnkey. So if you rent, like say for instance, a 22-foot sailboat, they'll drop it in the water for you, and all you have to do is show up, take it for sailing, pull it back up and park it, and that's it. All the rigging and everything else is done for you. That's a nice plus about sailing, because that's half the work. And then on the other side of, on the right-hand side of the bridge there, is the Family Recreation Center part of the Annapolis Yacht Club. And they have recently put a nice big pool in there that overlooks the water, with a concession stand. There's a gym there. And an additional restaurant at the recreation facility, on top of the restaurant here at the main clubhouse. If the Annapolis Yacht Club is something that interests you, be sure to give me a shout, because you need a sponsor, and it's actually a couple year wait. So if you're thinking about moving to Annapolis and the Yacht Club is something you're interested in, definitely reach out and try and get ahead of the ball, because it can be a hell of a wait.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, great, guys. If you are interested in more information about Eastport or Annapolis, Matt here is kind of the local expert on this community here. I'm going to have all his contact information down in the description below. We're also going to have an entire article that we wrote all about Eastport, with links to many of the resources and restaurants that we talked about. I'll have that link down below as well. Thanks so much for watching, and feel free to reach out to Matt or I if you have any questions about Annapolis or living in Eastport.
Thanks for watching, guys.
See ya.
Have
Bye.
a wonderful day.